woman who you put your head on her shoulder and she comforts you will be the one.
And you know what sucks, Tim? I had her and I lost her. I had her in that season of me just going with the flow. I knew where you was going, and like literally my eyes are getting red. And I said, I'm not going to cry on this man's show. I had her. She wanted it. I couldn't give it because I've never seen a vulnerable man before. I've never seen a man lead with vulnerability, lead with that level of like, I'm going to trust you with my weakness. I've always seen the great men in my life, my fathers, lead with strength.
Yeah.
But never lead with, I'm going to rest my head on your shoulder. Because I did that one day accidentally on her, and she lifted up her hand and rubbed my head. And when she rubbed my head, I immediately jumped up. Because my manhood was like, no, she's supposed to be on yours. And I was like, I've never done this. Let me get up. But then when I matured, when I evolved, I was like, I'm tired of always being strong. I'm tired of always having to act like I got it together and I have every single answer. And I broke down in therapy and realized I'm not that strong. I am strong, but I ain't that strong to where I could do it all by myself.
Amen and hallelujah.
Welcome to Relationship Talk with the Geths. Join Ed and Maya, a dynamic husband and wife duo, as they share real and honest advice on love, dating, and marriage. As transformational relationship coaches, they specialize in helping both singles and couples enhance communication, build intimacy, and experience greater pleasure in their relationships. They also offer online courses tailored for singles and married couples and are fully licensed to officiate weddings. Now, let's dive into today's session.
So he said that the one that you feel comfortable laying your head on might be your one. How do you feel about that?
100% agree.
Talk to us.
100% agree. What he said, I never seen men, I've always seen men lead with strength, but the strength was never vulnerability. Vulnerability was never a sign of strength. I think I saw my dad cry one time in my whole life, and he cried because his father, whom had walked out on him, had passed, and he didn't know how to deal with his emotions. He didn't know how to, he was lost, and he just broke down. And my grandfather, never seen him cry. He was married to a strong woman. My grandmother, who was a pastor of a church, never seen him cry. Never seen him lay his head on the shoulder. Never seen, it wasn't even much affection so much. Women were affectionate to us and children, each other, but men had to shoulder all their emotions. That's what gets you by.
When did you learn to appreciate being vulnerable with a woman?
I hate to say, it was long. And then to add to the fact, when you get your heart broke, when you just start, you might begin right there like, man, she makes me feel really special, makes me feel really good. I think I might love her. And then she breaks your heart, cheats on you with a friend. And you're like, oh,
never again.
But these emotions, bury them somewhere deep, somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And so it doesn't become, I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I'm that now with you.
Why?
And keep in mind, I've had a previous marriage where it came in and out, and I did a bad job of being vulnerable then, because you don't express what you want. The crack may have started when I had my first child. That's when vulnerability, because now you're starting to be like, okay, now I have to be an example for her. I don't know.
What does a woman have to, if a woman is in a relationship with a man and he's hard all the time, like
Right.
Anthony was saying,
Yes.
he lay his head down, he jump up. What can you tell her about how she has to show up, who she has to be to create an environment where he's safe being vulnerable?
I think it starts with conversation and just
What type
having
of conversation?
family history. Because one thing, men will talk about their family, and it'll start off funny, and they'll tell stories. Man, I love my dad. Da 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 da. And then it was like, hey man, when did you ever see your dad hurt? You know, don't even put it on him, and you'll be like, I don't know, why? And you got to ask those type of thought-provoking questions.
I don't know.
Have you ever been hurt?
I don't know about that.
You don't know about that?
And I say that because I think that is specific to you. And you gotta think of men in general.
Okay, you might be right.
You said that men are more than willing to talk about their families. You are more than willing to talk about your family because you love your family.
That's true.
You're proud of your family.
That's true.
That's going to be
a trigger
for some men, especially talking about their fathers.
You're right.
So it's not going to start off funny. And that question, tell me about your family, could be way too deep, way too soon. So if you're thinking about total.
Find out who they trust. Find out who they trust. Like, is there somebody that you trust? And someone may say, they may give an answer. Some may say no.
What if it's nobody?
Then that's where you start. You start like, well, what does it take to have your trust? If you don't trust anybody, you have to trust somebody. What would it take for them to trust? And it's almost therapeutic. Like, the easy, low-hanging fruit is therapy, but to get somebody to open up to therapy, you got to at least find out who or what they trust, what they believe in.
He might not know. Oh, if you're dealing with a man who's closed off in a way that he doesn't trust anybody, chances are he doesn't fully understand why. He probably hasn't unpacked this. He's probably not healed to a place where he knows how to be vulnerable, but he doesn't know why he doesn't know. He just knows that ain't, I learned over time, that ain't nothing you're supposed to do. So my question for you is, with me specifically, why do you trust me? Why are you vulnerable with me?
Well, one, because you're authentic and you don't fear tension or awkward. You can ask the tough conversations and you don't judge. I think that's the key word, is don't be judgmental. When somebody shares something that is personal, even if it's not vulnerable, something personal about them, and you just be like, why you like playing video games all the time? That initial judgment may be like, oh, she don't like what I do, so.
But that's not even, that's not a vulnerable space.
That's not vulnerable, but it starts off.
Oh, you're saying judgment in any area?
In any area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't judge them in any area. The less you judge, the more now they'll start opening up, peeling off layer at a time.
Was that question tone, though? Or was it a little?
Tone does help.
So, because you said, why you like playing video games? Versus, why do you like video games so much?
Yeah, that tone
but
is totally different.
But that's the same question. So if she really wants to know why you like video games so much, the history behind your love for gaming, then there's a way to ask.
There's a way to ask.
Even that.
Without judgment.
So it's really, the judgment enters with the tone of the question. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it.
Right, facts. Yeah.
So women can ask questions, but you have to be super mindful of the tone you use when you ask.
Absolutely.
Because I just asked the same question two different ways.
Yep.
And one way sounded judgy, and the other way sounded like I'm intrigued by you.
Curious. Even if you kind of poking fun at it. Like, these little silly games, why you like these?
Probably don't. If he's really passionate about it, you might not want to call it silly
It depends on, because you could get away with it because you poke fun at everything. It's, again, you have to know,
But if you're just starting to get to know him and you're building and you're creating vulnerability, then your advice would be to just watch your tone.
Correct.
In everything?
Not in everything. You got to be your authentic self. But be mindful of, women are observant. They know what he's kind of passionate about. Like, you finally go to his room or his house and you see he got a closet full of sneakers. this dude really loves sneakers.
But how did she get him to let her in? Okay. So this is an area of gifting for me.
It is.
I don't know what I do to make people comfortable telling me things or being vulnerable with me. So I'm asking you.
Right. What did you do for me?
Right. Because I don't know what I did.
Well, I know me, and it's probably different from person to person. I would say pay attention to what makes them relax. Laughter makes me relax, and she's silly and funny. So once you're relaxed, then you can ask about anything. You know, some people, it's music. You know, if y'all listen to music, y'all vibing out, you be like, man, I see you pretty vibe out on R&B music. Is that da-da-da-da-da-da? So paying attention to what makes them relax, what makes them, you know, excited, that's where your tone and curiosity can lead you from one thing to the next.
And also, I bet it's a lot like in the same way that we deal with our kids or teenagers.
Right.
You can't be so reactionary.
Oh.
So when they finally get to a place where they've built up enough trust to confide in you something.
Yeah.
It could be something small, something big.
And it may be shocking and jarring.
It might be, but it's the way you react to the information that lets them know if you're safe to tell something else.
Right.
So when he finally does open up to tell you something, whether it's something you want to hear or not,
right,
you have to be calm when hearing it and just let him talk and not make it be about you and how you felt when he said it.
Right.
Really keep the moment about them and say, okay, and absorb and keep it safe. Keep your tone low. Don't say, I can't believe you did X, Y, Z. I can't believe you did that. When he's trying to talk to you about something that he's going through.
Right.
Even if he did something wrong as he was going through it, if he comes to you in a vulnerable space about something that he did, like, you can't flip it and make it be about you in that moment.
Hear him out.
Yeah.
Just hear it out.
In the same way, if I'm dealing with a teenage girl and she comes to me, I'm a teacher. I teach high school.
Right.
And she comes and she says, Miss Geths, I know you told me to be really careful. I'm pregnant. This is not the time for me to be like, I told you was gonna get pregnant. You run around, you fast. I told you to wrap it up. You ain't taking your pills. This is not the time.
No.
If she came to tell me that she's pregnant, it's because she's already afraid of what can happen. And what she needs from me is love. She needs encouragement. She needs to know that I still love her, that God still loves her, that she has people that will wrap arms around her to help her get, for one, graduate. And, you know, help being a mom. Like, how do you learn how to do this? How are we going to get you through this pregnancy? Like,
how are you going to talk to your parents about it?
How are we going to tell your mama and your daddy that you are pregnant? So it's like just knowing, like keeping the main thing and not flipping it, making it about you in the moment could help, I think, when a man is trying to be vulnerable with you. Because if you miss it, and I've said this before, and that goes either way with men or women. If your partner is in a space where they're trying to be vulnerable with you and you mishandle the moment, it could be a very long time and a lot of space in between before they're willing to try again.
Yeah, right.
It could be, that's something we dealt with.
We did.
It was not great handling me
I
during vulnerable
I
moments.
fumbled a few times.
And I didn't. It was because he thinks I'm silly. He thinks that I don't have feelings because everything's a joke to me. And so when I'm vulnerable for real or sad for real,
ooh, I missed
I try to talk to him, he wanted to still turn it. Yeah, nah, who cares? Like she'll bounce back quickly. Let's joke about this, and I felt mishandled. And so what I wanted to do. And what I did in the beginning was close off from him. I wouldn't share. I went through everything by myself.
Yes.
I would go in the bathroom if I needed to cry. And just get it all out. And I wouldn't let him in on any of it. He wouldn't even know I was dealing with it. Every once in a while, I would tell him afterwards, you know, I had a huge breakdown like 2 weeks ago. And he'll be like, what? And you ain't let me in on it? No, and I'm not, because you don't handle me well. So I was convicted because I need him to be that for me. And so I had to teach him how to be a safe space for me. Right. And that's been one of the hardest things for us, for me to be patient enough and work through the heartache of teaching someone, because in order for me to do it, I have to do it during vulnerable times. Right. When I know you are not prepared. And I'm like, okay, it's happening right now. This is what I need from you. I don't need you talking and talking and talking. I need you to do these things. I need you to touch me here. I need you to do this. And so through those moments, he's learned so much, but only because I gave him the opportunity to learn.
Correct. And you have to, that's the thing. You have to let the partner know. I had to let her know, I want to be there for you. And you have to constantly assure her, not push her to be vulnerable, but hey, I'm here. I know I messed up the other 2 times because I didn't know. But now that I know, help me recognize it. Yep. And that was the key. So the person has to let them know, I'm a safe space. And you have to show you're a safe space, not just say it, show you're a safe space.
And he didn't get it right the first, the second, or the third time. And I had to continue going to him knowing that it might hurt worse after dealing with him with it, but it's a long-term investment because this is my life partner. We got to get there. Right. So I'm going to have to sacrifice on this end so that on the back end, I have a strong partner that I can be vulnerable with. He has to be the one. Because if it's not him, I got to go get somebody else to do this with. I don't want to do that. I want it to be him. So, yeah, that's a hard conversation to have. Say, I need you to be this during these times. Right.
So.
And they may or may not get it in the beginning.
They may not.
But yeah.
But if they're worth the investment, if all the other things check boxes are checked, make that a check box too. Work to make that a check box, meaning somebody you can be vulnerable with and trust that they'll handle you right. Even when they may have fumbled a time or two, be honest about that as well.
That's something, we're relationship coaches, so we're definitely, we think that it's important that sometimes you can't be your best self by yourself. Correct. That you have to build community. You have to involve wise counsel in your goals and your growth process. Right. And so if that's something that you're struggling with, to communicate those things, you're like, I feel that, but I don't know how to do it. Reach out to us.
Please.
Like, you can book a free consultation call right on our website, onevisionerc.com, and we can get something set up so that we can talk to you about how we can help move you along so that you're not stuck right there where you are. It's okay not to be okay. But it's not okay to stay that way.
Correct.
So don't get comfortable in that space where you're just growing apart. Go ahead and jump over here and let us help you get it back together.
People that love each other. Come on.
Work for it.
Do the work.
Work for it.
All right.
So, if you want any more information on services that we provide, courses, events, getaways, retreats, head on over to onevisionerc.com and click on Premier Courses and Tools or Retreats and Getaways, and you can see everything that we offer, everything that's coming up, and you can register right there. So I hope to see you soon in one of our programs, at one of our getaways, one of our retreats, so that we can collaborate.